the brand, just because it's like people know the brand already. Like, they don't know who I am because I've stayed anonymous like for the past shit. I think it's been like 6-7 years.
Yeah.
That's why my face is pixelated, like in everything that I post about me. It's just like a trademark, I guess. Like a little, I don't even know how to say it. It's like my digital footprint.
Yeah.
It's a digital out face. Cool. I bet we ready. Let's see. Testing. It sound good?
Mm-hmm. It does sound good.
All right, for sure.
We already live.
Oh, okay, cool.
I could edit it for the intro to be wherever.
Yeah.
So I don't even remember what episode this is. But anyways, it's really, man, like exciting, bro.
Yeah.
It's really exciting for this particular episode, man, and to have you on. I guess go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience, and then
if you don't know me, my name is Mike Molly. I'm the founder of Psychword USA, Molly Incorporated, Molly Inc., Acid Junkie US, creative director for All But 6 Records. Played a big role in a lot of notable tours. If not big roles, significant roles at least. Grade A tour with Suicide Boys, Fat Nick, Puya. Done a lot of projects for All But 6 Records as well. I'm all over the place. Designer for Bravest, and some other designers, at least brands that I can't name due to NDA. But yeah, just a kid who makes clothes and art that ended up being notorious in this shit.
Just a kid who makes clothes, man. That's crazy, bro. You know, and before I let you introduce yourself, right? I was gonna say that I was, excited to have this interview, man, because I mean, I don't even think it really does it justice to just say like you're a unique type of individual, man. I mean, everybody is unique in their own way, right? And that stuff can get cliche, bro. But you said what, 23 years old?
Yeah.
You're 23, bro, and when I met you, I was like, the passion that you have for your craft is impressive.
I appreciate it.
For one, right? But then there's a lot of people who are passionate about their craft. They love what they do, but it's another step or another level when you also persevere in that craft.
Yeah.
You also stay consistent in that craft, even through the trials, the setbacks, the obstacles, the pain.
Yeah.
Right. And you make sacrifices to stay in that craft, man, and keep doing what you love. And so that was impressive to me too, man. Because you're young, and you're young is not to say anything. It's just more often than not, generally speaking, when a person is young and they're not familiar with trial, tribulation, and suffering, when they encounter it, it's almost like most of the time for young people, and this is a word to young people if you're listening. Most of the time, young people, they take it as maybe some type of sign like, nah, this ain't meant to be, or this is not for me, or whatever. But when we were discussing earlier before the camera was rolling that, man, that's a part of life, bro, the trial, tribulation. And sometimes.
But that's how you get tested, though.
Yeah.
That's like the universe's way of testing you, bro. Because, like, it's reminding you that shit will not always go your way. But you got to work through it to make it in your favor. Like any situation you put in. But yeah, I mean, I agree with that, bro. A lot of people, like young people, whenever they're, tested through trials and tribulations, they read it as, oh, this is my sign to just give up. Or like they halt the brakes and just, seize up, and they're super scared of even continuing that passion that like ended up getting halted for some middle skill reason, like maybe 1 month of effort and hard work pushing through, it'll surpass itself.
Yeah.
But I can see eye to eye with that perspective and that perception.
So you named a lot of people that I'm not really familiar with, bro. Yeah. Those individuals, and you know what I mean? Because I'm 36, right? For context, right?
That's not old, bro. You barely getting started.
Yeah, but like Puya and you said Fat Nick, right?
Yeah.
What kind of like what would you say is their like their age range, target demographic or whatever?
Really, right now, it's like, right now, they've been around since shit. I was like 12, 13, listening to them on the school bus. So really, their age, like, it's roughly 28 to 30, 32, mid 30s. I know that there's like even grandparents that be listening to them. It's just like a really like broad spectrum of that audience, like within
And
the underground rap scene.
oh, so they're underground rappers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's all SoundCloud based. This is like, these are the people who made SoundCloud rap what it is today. They took those stepping stones to make it like an actual platform.
SoundCloud. So the way that you
Yeah.
came upon these artists was through SoundCloud.
Yeah.
Because it's crazy because depending on what platform you're on, you'll become familiar with certain artists or influencers in that particular platform. Like a lot of people are familiar with artists or influences that are like on Twitch, for example.
Yeah.
I have no idea who they are. Why? Because I'm not on Twitch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, I
they
just
have
heard
their-
about that Jinxie and all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
'cause he's on
It's
Twitch.
like the way they have cultivated fan base, like Puya and Fat Nick, they had cultivated fan bases too at that time when Suicide Boys were barely making like a name for themselves, in the SoundCloud rap scene.
Yeah.
And like with these small tours and cosigns and features that they got, like at the time they were small because they were starting up too. Even then they were selling out like venues like 1,000 people, 2,000 people, 3,000. And that's just based off of like their old like 2013, 2014, if I'm not mistaken, around that era.
Yeah.
And Southside Suicide, that album that Puyi was featured on, got like dropped. So yeah, I mean they've worked their way up. They're like pioneers in this shit.
And
Like the equivalent to like our like SoundCloud era's modern day, in my opinion, like how there's Cypress Hill, Mobb Deep, like Wu-Tang. You know how those are like very notable like rap figures, like in hip hop.
yeah.
In the underground scene, Fat Nick, Puya, Suicide Boys, Lil Peep, let's see who else, like Lil Tracy, like all those pioneers were within the underground rap scene because they didn't have any notoriety towards record labels. It was just them. They were just kids making like music together.
Yeah. So are they like what's the word for it?
Like a collective?
No, like independent artists, like
Yeah.
they like their own label.
Yeah.
Kind of like there's this artist that I'm familiar with, man.
To put it in perspective, they like
McDonald.
Yeah.
You heard about that? The controversial. What's his name? McDonald something McDonald.
He does like a lot of political rap.
Tom McDonald.
Is
All
that
the
the
political
guy?
rap. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he's not within that rapper or that artist's subgenre, like within underground rapping or independent rapping, like or independent hip hop artists. They're in a whole different lane. They're like you know how Insane Clown Posse was like a very horrorcore, like hardcore, like rap, like
Yeah.
talking about death and like necro, like all that shit. They're like our new gen of, I wouldn't say horrorcore rap. It's I mean, it's just dark shit.
Yeah.
It's real life. Like the way that Puya told me is all his music's based on real life, like anxiety, depression, but he uses like that emotion to make crazy lyrics, like actually tell a story for people that are going through the same shit as him, or like let's say Fat Nick, like same thing. They end up making like a story for these people to relate to, even if not all of it's realistic. Like even if like at the time like they were rapping about toting guns and shit, when the side of Florida that they grew up in, shit, I wouldn't doubt it that they had to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like they you know about XXX
Yeah, yeah.
Tentacion? It's crazy. These people knew him. Like these people knew him before X like blew up.
Yeah.
Like they were legit at the same local underground venue shows when X was performing. Like
Yeah.
there's clips of Fat Nick and Puya in a mosh pit with X. It's nuts. And that's basically like the genre that X is in. That's what they cultivated.
Yeah.
All of them together. It was all collective efforts, but also their independent routes. Like for each independent artist, they just helped each other out. It was like a community of underground rappers out there in Florida.
I think there's something fascinating about generally about rappers like that, bro.
Yeah.
Extension, Puya, Fat Nick, they come out and from the underground, and I think the thing that's to me that's kind of fascinating is they're all like you say they're rapping about anxiety and depression. They're rapping about a lot of these things that are rooted in their truth, right?
Yeah.
The what they're experiencing as being true in this world, and their music is almost like a fist in the air, so to speak, and a cry about like what's wrong in their life, but then also external forces that are causing these things to go wrong in their life, and those external forces a lot of times aren't right, whether it be, and there's a lot of musicians that have come up like that, whether it be government or lack of equality, lack of equal opportunity. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what's fascinating. And the reason and the part to get more specific, right, and what I find interesting is a lot of times they're pointing their finger at a particular issue or problem that's in the world that people are kind of neglecting or not paying attention to, and that's the part that's fascinating to me. And the thing that kind of intrigues me is like, why aren't people paying attention to that? And when you really ask that question, I mean, there could be a million different answers, but to me, the obvious answer is because people don't want to answer that question, because that answer, people don't want to. It's there's a cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
You heard of that word, cognitive
It
dissonance?
sounds familiar. It's like that isn't when like a problem is relevant and noticeable, but you push it to the side because it's less problematic to solve that solution, and it's more beneficial to the person to create other solutions to keep them distracted from this one issue.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually a really good the definition of what that is.
Yeah.
But what I heard it as, and what you said, that might be it, but it's when an idea or a belief or something is submitted to your brain, and believing that would kind of rattle your world, so you choose not to believe it because it will make you pretty much flip your whole belief system upside down, right?
So that ideology is like, oh, if I never see it, it won't exist.
Right. Yeah.
Like, if I don't see it, it's something that doesn't exist.
Right.
Yeah. So these rappers were actually, like, in my opinion, just from like within the underground scene, they were the first to bring up like an issue of the youth feeling depressed, like youth depression on an all-time rise. Like from what I've witnessed, seeing that scene grow, they were the first to talk about it within rap. Like Suicide Boys were the first to talk about like hating a day job, going in 9 to 5, like feeling like that like life has plateaued to this rat race, like simulated lifestyle, like 24/7, that there's no way out. But they became a voice for people who felt like that too, which is why they ended up gaining a niche market, like within that subgenre of, it was like sad rap at the time. But they really like also made rap just as hard, the way that Wu-Tang, they talk about like slapping the shit out of motherfucker, or like toting guns, like the way NWA had that attitude, like very hood gangster.
Yeah.
They brought that attitude for people who felt depressed, that wanted a revolt. Like they were their voice. They were the voice of like people who were depressed, like to revolt and just like rebel. Like it was modern day, to put it in perspective. Like this isn't me like, glazing them. Like I'm not in any way putting them on a higher pedestal than these artists, but it's the same, I guess, effect that Sex Pistols had within the UK, where it caused like a bunch of kids to just, put on these high top like Doc Martens and just kick trash cans and just start being rebel punks. Like in the 60s, 70s, they were our generation's version of that, in my opinion, because I related to that as a kid. I related to it, like not fitting in. I know what it's not like to not fit in, and Puya perfectly like explained that, being that lanky short dude that never fit in, but his ideas were bigger than the world around him. Like he was a voice for kids like me. So that's it. That's when I got introduced to Suicide Boys, Fat Nick, finding out the collective that Puya rolled with, and it just ended up being a rabbit hole from there.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like the conversation now could go in a couple of different directions. One,
Go, go for it.
I'm interested to ask you and like let you kind of reiterate your story on. Remember when you were telling me about how you were in school and you were like an outcast amongst the outcasts?
Yeah.
That kind of brought you to this point. And the other one, I guess, would be to continue and talking about, go deeper in depth into, why are so many youth feeling depression, anxiety, especially considering there's so much entertainment now here. There's so much ways that you can distract yourself for your brain, etc.
Yeah.
So I guess you could go off on whatever. At some point, it'd be cool if you could tell the audience your story because I think it's a fascinating story, bro, and I think it's it's very relevant
Yeah.
to how you're here right now, doing what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm still doing what I was doing like when I was 16. The only thing is like a lot more eyes are on me. That's it.
Yeah. So
And
how'd
like,
you start?
well, to start off, shit, I actually didn't even know. Like when I got my laptop in high school, it was off some listing of $200. It was a $200 2008 MacBook, the white ones, those big old bulky ones. Um, I bought it off of this guy for $200, and I actually just bought it to like DJ and mix, and I would mix a lot of like Puya, Fat Nick, Suicide Boys, like music into party mixes, like house mixes, and at the time I was also like on the side like drawing. I would draw a lot. I didn't know what Photoshop was, graphic design was. I didn't know how to make a t-shirt. I didn't know anything about this shit. So I would just draw, and one day I got an idea like, man, it'd be pretty cool to see like my clothes, like my drawings like on clothes, cuz I couldn't afford Supreme, like new Nike like hoodies and zip ups, like all these no offense to them cuz now I know some of these kids, but like the preppy kids, they would have like these dry fit Nike hoodies or like the Adidas sweatsuits and stuff. And I was just juggling around a lot of hobbies, and I was like, man, it'd be cool as shit like to make my own clothes, like with my art. So
Yeah.
what I did was I got my drawings and I took them to like the screen print shop, like on paper. Like I legit just drew it on paper and gave it to them. They took a photo of it, they put it in Photoshop, and they just like vectorized it, which means like just to make it like a clean shape to where they could screen print it. And they printed me a sample, and I took the sample back to class, and like at the end of every bell in class, I would just say like 5 minutes before the bell, like, yo, a lot of y'all see my art in the 700 halls, because they were letting me paint a mural at the school. I had said like, yo, like y'all seen my art in the 700 halls. If y'all like my art, I'm actually putting my art on clothes. It'd be cool if some of y'all want to support me to continue my art like hobby on the side. If y'all want to rep my stuff, like y'all can buy a shirt off me. Just meet me after class, like at lunch. So like that day, I think that was the first time like entrepreneur. I was like 17, and a lot of people, like a lot of kids, they would ask me like, "Yo, $20, can you draw me this?" Like as a gift for so and so, and I would do it. So a lot of people knew me as that kid that drew, and I was like 17. Yeah, I was like 17 years old at the cafeteria, and like my first day of like cash sales, just getting it on their size, what color shirt they wanted, what color print they wanted, and their name, like plus phone number, and then the amount that they like paid. I think I sold like 50 t-shirts for like $25. That was the first time I made $1,000 in a day.
The first day?
Yeah, $1,000 in a day, like first day in the cafeteria. Because I wasn't want to fit in. I didn't fit in, but I wasn't also like, how do I say it? I wasn't introverted. I was very extroverted in high school. I guess like as not a cry for help, but it's because like I felt like in this weird limbo spot of being an outcast, but also like people knowing me as that kid that drew.
Yeah.
So like the outcasts, like I guess like the emos and like the goths at school, I'd hang out with them, and they'd be like, yo, you're a fucking poser. Like, you don't know shit about what we know, so get out of here. And then I'd hang out with the
What do they
preps.
mean by that?
Well, like...
I know what a poser is, but what do
yeah.
they mean by you don't know shit about?
Because I didn't know that much about the bands. Like, then that's what like really like caused me to introvert myself and study. Like, actually get in the scene, go to these shows. Like, really like the mentality of like... like actual gore grind, like garage metal underground, like the metal scene is like it's very like on the low. Like if you don't know about it, or if like you see someone that does not know about it, you don't introduce them to that genre because it's very gate kept.
Yeah.
It's a very tight knit community of people that ended up just falling down a rabbit hole and finding this genre themselves. So I didn't know any of the bands that those kids knew, so I wouldn't hang out with them as much. There was only like 2 kids, Joey and Nathan, shout out them, that like they knew that I didn't know that much, but they also knew like I wasn't a bad person. Like I didn't have like ill intent toward to show disrespect towards that like genre or subgroup of kids, you know, that scene of kids. That I was actually like, you know, the fact that I couldn't even fit in with the outcasts, like fuck, like you said yourself, like damn, like these motherfuckers didn't fit in too, and I don't even fit in with them.
Yeah,
like they're rejecting me. Like you know how like fucking isolating that shit is.
Yeah,
and then like you hang out with the preps and they're like trying to tell you like, yo, you should wear this and this and this. Well, shit, I can't afford it. Like, so like I couldn't fit in with either, but I got along with a lot of people just from like, you know, selling art, because that's all people would come up to me for, like, yo, can you draw this, I'll pay you. Or I would do like in class, I wasn't dumb, like I would do like the preps homework, like they'd pay me like, yo, here, like $50 for you to do like my entire weeks of homework. Fuck yeah. And like, so I just started doing homework, and eventually that's how I bought the samples. Like I funded my own shit by, I guess, selling my services in school. Like I'd sell chips and shit. Yeah. And then flip that money, sell more chips, flip that shit. By the time summer came, like I just started balling out at this one place called Express Printing, like on a shit ton of samples. Samples that didn't even look good, like at all, or didn't sell, but it was cool.
So you're like an entrepreneur from the get go.
Yeah, bro.
So I guess like filling I guess the relevant gaps from like how there to how
I ended up here. Yeah. Okay, so you know how I told you I was DJing, right? Like in high school, like I would DJ parties, like that's another service I sold. Like I would get with the preps and be like, yo, if your DJ's overcharging you. At the time I worked with this it's this DJ like service where they cater. Like I was the guy who just loaded up the, I guess, speakers and like the turntables into a trailer. We would unload them and like set it up at like a quinceañera or like a birthday party that this guy was DJing at. And then at the end of the night, we would, you know, box everything up back, put it back in the trailer, dip, and get paid like $80 to $100 for a night. Yeah. So I got in contact with that guy, and I told him like, yo, I can get like you a show. I'll give you $100. Like they're gonna pay me like $200, $300. I'll give you $100 out of the $200. You don't even need to show up. Just lend me like the front facade and a table with the turntables, and I'll DJ the show. So that way he's making double money now. So we started working that out. I built my network with the popular kids like that threw the parties and got super fucked up for like senior year and shit through that. And at the time, like parties like in high school cut off. Like I think it was like in the beginning of senior year, because everyone was super like taking it serious for the SATs, like college applications, all that shit. So nobody was partying until the end of the school year. And in that downtime, my homie Ivan saw me like messing on Serato. Like I would just bring my laptop to mess with like the DJ software, and he would see me. He already knew I made clothes prior. He was like, yo, you know you have Photoshop, right? Like in art class. And I was like, no, what the fuck? Like, where? And he opens the app. He's like, yeah, bro, look, like you can open a file. Here's how to open a canvas. You can draw digitally, or you can draw on paper, scan it, airdrop it to your MacBook, and then work from there. And you can alter it even more. So my friend Ivan showing me that I had a software pirated on this $200 like a MacBook. Heavy as shit. It didn't even stay on for 30 minutes because of how old it was. Yeah. Yeah, like the battery was ran through. So like I had just figured out what Photoshop was. And I was like, yo, I can draw and then edit my drawings like perfect them. Yeah, perfected in Photoshop. Add
effects. Yeah. And, blur.
So he's the one that taught me all that shit and how to make like a mock-up photo.
Who was that? Who taught you?
My friend Ivan Kaiwan.
Ivan.
Yeah, we call him Kaiwan.
Yeah, Chiron.
Well, Kaiwan, Kywon.
Oh,
Yeah, he's cool. He's cool. He really taught me everything I know.
bro, it's crazy how like there's in the path or whatever to like realizing your destiny and stuff like that. There's so many people that are kind of like steps on that staircase that get you there, bro. Looking back in my own history, like I'm hearing you tell your
Dude,
story, and I'm hearing you.
I didn't even know what Photoshop was.
You talk about Chiron, and you talk about who, Joseph, and what was the other the two friends that were cool?
Nathan and Joey.
Nathan and Joey.
Yeah, those were like my only three friends.
Yeah,
Those were for real. Like Adam, Sean, like they were the DJs. Like they were into EDM. So was my friend EJ. But like it was very parted out. Like I would rarely hang out with them because during lunch or like during class, I would finish my work early, and then selling like, you know, my answers for the homework to the other people, like the popular kids in class that didn't want to do it.
yeah.
I would just wait until the end of the class period, but in that downtime, I would draw because they didn't let me take out my laptop in class. Like I would draw. By the time I finished drawing like 20, 30 sketches in that hour of off time, I would finalize their homework and then go back to lunch and ask Ivan if he was there, like, yo, how do I do this? I only got 30 minutes before my laptop dies. So, like, I was juggling, bro. Like, I guess that cycle of, you know, always working on time, like having deadlines was instilled since the beginning just because I had a shitty laptop that I didn't even know had Photoshop in it.
Bro, that's fascinating, bro.
I found my destiny or like my current destiny as of right now. I found my destiny accidentally. I stumbled upon it because I just liked fucking around with turntables.
Would you say life before then, like school and all that stuff, would you say it was boring?
Nah, it was actually the funnest time of my life.
But before then?
Yeah, before any of this.
Like, cause so you always liked school, academics.
Yeah.
I mean, you were doing people's homework, so you were good at it.
Yeah.
Now, and I mean, not to go in depth or in detail, right? But
You can.
why'd you like school?
I mean, really, like, from a young age, I guess my mom, at first, like, in elementary, she instilled in me, like, yo, all A's. And it was, like, a discipline thing. Like, understand, we came from Hispanic households.
Yeah.
So, like, if I got a B, all my shit would get taken away.
Yeah.
All my shit. Like, if I got an 88 on a report card, oh, you didn't get an A? Your GameCube, your Game Boy, like, it's all taken away for, like, until next progress report and next report card till you show us all A's. So I learned, like, that my passions are, what's it called? It's not a option. It's a
luxury. It's a
reward. A luxury. Yeah, it's a reward to be able to do what I like on free time. Like, to be able to have, like, game consoles, to be able to have my laptop, to be able to DJ and go out with friends.
So school was initially a discipline, but then you became good at it, and then once you good at it, you're master. I mean, I feel it's kind of like sports.
Because I realized, like, yo, if I just never fuck up in school, I can do whatever the fuck I want outside of school.
Yeah.
And when I started putting two and two together, and I started, like, academically showcasing, like, yo, I can get all A's, like, to the point where my lowest report card, I think it was, like, senior year, was, like, a 96. Just because I was absent for, like, sick leave. It was crazy, bro. Like, my parents, they really didn't care where I was. Like, they didn't. They just let me do what I wanted to do. If I asked them, yo, can I have $20? Like, there's a sale at Hobby Lobby for canvases. They'd give me $20, and I'd go in my old beat-up Jeep Cherokee to go pick up, you know, paint and canvases before I was even gassing up the car.
Yeah.
Like, but I'd flip those canvases into, like, $40 paintings a piece, and it's a pack of 4.
Yeah.
That's what? See, 160.
40 times 4? 160?
Yeah, 160. So I'd get that 160 and put, like, 80 back in the canvases, and the rest is my gas. Or I would, like, put half a tank of gas and spend the other $20 on chips. Flip the chips. That's $30 from 10. Then I buy 3 more boxes. That's let's see, 30. That's $90 from 30. Then I'd flip that. That's let's see, 30 times 3. That's 90. 90 times $1. $1.50 roughly. It ended up getting to the point where I was making like 300 a week off chips and like selling snacks at school, plus like an additional like 100 doing people's home. I was making like 500, 600 bucks a week, like just for having that off time of being on time with my assignments, like finishing tests early. Like, it got to a point where I was selling my services throughout high school. I think I ran like 5 bands within my senior year, like off of all that combined.
You know what, man? It's crazy you're talking about all this, bro. Because on my drive here, I don't know why, the thought just hit me.
Yeah.
And I've actually been talking to my kids a lot about it, which is laziness, bro. Not to be
Yeah.
lazy. But then you know what I was thinking? I was like, man, I don't think there's lazy people. There's just people that haven't found their purpose yet.
Yeah.
Because I was reflecting on myself, and I was like, man, when I was in school, I could be perceived easily as lazy, bro.
Yeah.
I didn't like work. I didn't like to work outside. I didn't like to do the chores that my grandma told me to do. I didn't like to do schoolwork. I didn't like to do any of those things. And and it was lazy, right? For all intents and purposes, it was lazy. But when I think deeply about it, it's because I didn't see no purpose in it. I had a negative attitude, and I had that negative attitude, and there was a root in it, right? My mom passed away and stuff. So I kind of took this perspective towards life in general that, like, what's it all for? We're all going to die anyway. A very, very dark, negative attitude, right? But nonetheless, I didn't see any purpose in these things, right? Like, what's the end goal? Like what am I just...
Like, what's the reward?
A good grade wasn't worth it for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? None of that was worth it for me. So I didn't. Now, bro, that I see the purpose in doing things, and I found purpose in doing things, man, I'm passionate about anything. And you could grab anybody who it might be perceived as lazy, bro. But you do that one thing that they love to do, bro, and all of a sudden they're excited.
Yeah, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like my little brother. He's not the biggest fan of school right now, right? Like, his grades are like, meh. Like, obviously, he's a middle child, so he's getting, like, a little bit more leniency. But once I told him, yo, you like to play guitar. If you bring me all A's for, like, the rest of the school year, I'll go get you that $400 guitar at Guitar Center that you've been eyeballing for 2 years. Boom. Immediately started seeing his grades boost up. Why? Because his passion is the reward from good behavior, getting good grades, like, being on time with assignments, like, 100%, someone's going to be more motivated if they're gaining a reward that also roots within, like, a passion of theirs. Like, they're going to do those chores at home. They're going to get those good grades. So it goes back to that. Yeah, I do agree. Like, a lot of people, they're not lazy. But I feel like they don't have that mindset of understanding that a passion is, in fact, a luxury.
And I've actually heard, like, psychologists talk about that it's very powerful if you can get yourself in this reward loop.
Yeah.
Where, like, the work, you're driven to do the work because you're pursuing the reward, and then you get the reward.
Yeah.
And then it's on to the next reward that you're pursuing, so you do more work, right? And that's kind of what I hear from you, bro. Like, it started with the discipline that your parents wanted you to do well in school, but you did it because you wanted to play your games.
Yeah.
And then through that discipline, you kind of perfected school. You got really good at it.
Yeah.
And then you would draw in your free time. And then there was another thing where people were like, hey, man, your drawings are cool. So then you wanted to
pursue that.
I guess you wanted to monetize your drawing, or you wanted to scale it or expand it or put the art on shirts.
But I couldn't get that amount of income to pursue putting my art on clothes if I didn't have good grades in the first place.
Yeah.
So I started booking through assignments, asking like a week in advance, yo, can you give me next week's homework? Can I stay after tutoring to learn about next week's subject? So by the time Monday rolled in, boom, all my assignments were done. Dude, I started getting ahead of the game.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, it really did root from discipline. Like, as crazy as it sounds, like, everything in life, like, to me, I don't see, like, let's say I find out today, like, yo, I have 12 clients that are each going to pay me $1,000. Not immediately going to think that, I have $12,000 in the bank by next week. Like, I'm immediately going to start saying, okay, but today's Monday. I got 5 more days to scale that even higher in case 6 of them flake. I think, like, 10 steps ahead of every situation, which is how I thought in high school. Like, in that sense. Like, I would think, like, what if I have practice, like, a random practice meeting, like, at this time? Then it's going to delay me by 3 hours to finish 4 days worth of assignments, and those 4 days worth of assignments are going to set me back 4 days. Like, I move based off of 10 steps ahead on everything. So that's like the mentality that my mom pushed onto me. And I'm very thankful for that, because it's like now an instinct, like nothing can go wrong. There's no excuses for shit to go wrong if you're always thinking 10 steps ahead. And it sucks, but it sucks to like not live in the now, but it's also really realistic to not live in the now, live in the future. Like, live thinking every single day 10 steps ahead, because what if shit comes up? You're always prepared for the worst possible thing to happen within your time frame, within your schedule, your deadlines. So that's where it really rooted from, like that schedule discipline. And then, you know, back to Ivan showing me Photoshop. He showed me Photoshop. He'd teach me during like my cafeteria time, but I only had 30 minutes to learn as much as possible, take that knowledge home while getting ready, work a full 6-hour shift on my part-time job after school, get home at 2 a.m, and then have like 1 to 2 hours to play around with what I learned that day in those 30 minutes. Then go to sleep for 3 hours.
So after school, you went to a part-time job till 2 a.m?
Yeah, I worked at Peter Piper, and I was closing. So by the time we cleaned the whole restaurant, flipped all the benches for them to get vacuumed, like the carpet to get vacuumed, bust down like all the tables, clean all the benches. Like, I still remember to this day, like washing all the dishes, making sure that they were all in their drying rack. It'd be like 2 a.m. I'd get home, and like by 3, I ate for the day, plus showered, and then I had to wake up at 7:30 a.m. to drop off my little brothers. Yeah, for school. So,
bro, you're working harder than most adults.
But even within that time frame, by getting home at 3 a.m., like, I would say, okay, fuck it. Like, I'm still going to wake up groggy tomorrow. I might as well put in 1 hour at least of what I learned within 30 minutes to double my skill, like, in time frame. So I'd stay up to, like, from 3, I'd be ready after getting back from work till 4 a.m., like 3 to 4 a.m. I'd design as much as possible with the knowledge that I gained from Ivan, go to sleep, wake up at 7 a.m., help get my little brothers ready, drop them both off at school. Or drop my little brother off, Sebi, at daycare, and then drop off my brother Isaac at school. Then go to school, head straight to first period, finish all of my assignments, sell off like the homework assignments, do people's homework. By lunch period, I had a full period of free time. That's when I would start learning more. So I did this for like from, I think, my junior year to senior year. That's when I found out about actual graphic design, which was like a crazy rabbit hole.
Now, look, before you go into senior year, I feel like you touched on something, and I feel like it's super important, man, to highlight that, what you said, bro.
Yeah.
Because you said you would get home at 2, 3 in the morning, and you said, you know what, I'm already going to be groggy. Let me grind on what I just learned for 1 hour.
Yeah.
From my experience, I feel like that is super important because, and this is why, whenever I've taken so many courses in my lifetime. I mean, I've taken real estate courses, social media marketing courses, Google SEO courses, just outside of my real estate license courses that I've taken additional YouTube courses on how to flip homes and flip land and do this and that and the other. In all of them, I've learned that if there's something that my mind is learning, bro, and I feel like now I've gone through it, and it seems like you were going through it for such a long time, it almost becomes intuition within your soul, where like it's almost like this spirit almost like is guiding you, and you know that you have to do something at a particular time, and if it doesn't get done in that time frame, then it almost feels like it bothers you, bro. Yeah. And I know that when I'm learning something, like let's say, like you say, you learn something in one day, or it was presented to you as new knowledge.
Yeah.
If I don't go and I work on that, and I don't somehow download it into my brain and understand it to some extent, maybe you don't have to.
They don't fully master.
Maybe you don't.
Get a rough idea.
But you have to. You have to basically have a fundamental understanding of kind of what it is. If you don't do that within that same day, it's like you wake up the next day, you go and you look at the information, and it's like you're looking at it all over again for the first time. So you're gonna have to go through that again. Whereas if you can get some type of fundamental understanding and then you go to sleep, it's almost like your brain digests that information while you're sleeping, bro.
Yeah.
So you wake up, and when you wake up, it's almost like you wake up with like a new like revelation, or a new like that spirit now guiding you, like, okay, on to the next thing. And now you have more ideas that you're building off of, like, because it's like, okay, based on that knowledge that I just acquired, now I think I want to do this, that, you know what I mean? So you're on to the next step, you know what I mean? So anyways, man, I just think that's real important for anybody that's out there kind of going through that thing, like,
yeah, bro,
learning
like
that curve,
that
like
spirit,
the grind.
that spirit you're talking about, bro. Like I remember like after like that 1 hour, after pulling like a 6-hour shift after school and getting my homework done, like, you know, within that hour of being home, boom, like I had 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. Like I would design, and once I saw the clock hit 4 a.m., I'd sleep. And in my head still, like, my brain for some reason would remember what each tool that I was using at the time in Photoshop, what it does, what every action, like, variable, like for clicking like this tool and cutting out a certain spot and then applying this filter, like what it would look like a rough idea in my head. While I'm like with my eyes closed, sleeping, bro. Like I would, if I didn't have enough time to be awake doing Photoshop, like there were times, it sounds crazy, I'd do that shit in my dreams and then wake up the next morning like, yo, that filter combo would make it look like this. And when I put it together, it'd be damn near close to what I pictured in my head. And I was like,
bro, that's crazy, right?
Like my brain was working on overtime at that time. But any young person right now that has,
bro, you
like,
know how they
drive,
say, this is a cliche,
they gotta go full send with it.
Like your brain only uses 10% of its capacity, whatever, bro. It's a cliche, right? But that what you're talking about is like, that's when you go into like, remember, like you play video games and it's like
mode,
he's on fire, like God mode, right? And I don't want to, right? That's not like,
I call it monk mode, bro.
Monk mode,
because that's when you're just locked in. Like you don't talk. That at that time in my life, I wasn't talking to nobody. It was just me and that fucking computer and the 30 minutes I had in lunch, and then the hour I had after school every day.
And I mean, if only other people can experience that.
They
bro.
can.
They can.
They can, bro.
They can.
It's a choice.
Everybody, but it is a choice.
It's a choice, bro.
And if you don't experience that,
discipline is always a choice.
It's like if somebody tells you something really good that people haven't experienced, and you're trying to explain to them, and you're like, "Hey, dude, this is amazing." And
it's
they're
like the equivalent of telling a youth now about a Roth IRA. Like any 18-year-old that's getting a paycheck of $500, if you tell them, "Yo, you set aside 50 of each paycheck in a Roth IRA, by the time you're 60, you'll be a millionaire." Like, oh, but that's by the time I'm 60, so fuck that shit.
Yeah.
So those you know, teens that are told that shit, like at 18, when they hit 60, they're like, fuck, how am I going to get retirement? Like, bro, you should have fucking applied what you learned when it was still fresh.
Yeah.
Now you're having to deposit fucking $2K a month to even hit that shit.
But for somebody to experience the fact that you find something that you're so passionate about, bro, that when you go to sleep, your brain is working on that while you chilling, bro.
Shit.
Taking a good, you're so locked in, like you said, that your brain loves it so much that it's just digesting it, downloading it, bro, coming up with new ideas while you're asleep, bro. Like that's so amazing, bro.
But I mean, think about it. Like if your passion is like, let's say a job is like a clothing designer, you have to make something as like a clothing designer, graphic designer, artist. You have to make an idea that has never been done before and present it in a way that it's so unbelievably like attractive to someone who just glances an eye at it, to the point like you have to think of the person's reaction 10 steps ahead. Like if I'm making a piece right now, I have to think 10 months down the line, if someone, let's say if it ends up in a thrift store, is that piece gonna be like a holy fucking shit, this is the craziest piece I've ever seen, it's only $5 at this Goodwill, whoever like donated this fumbled, like this is a grail? Or is it gonna be like a skip, I'm gonna wait till that fucking Goodwill special happens where it's a yellow tag or a green tag when I can get it for 50 cents? Like you gotta think of ideas that are so unbearable every single day, a new idea that's never been done before. If you Google it, it doesn't come up as a result. And then 3, come up with that idea and visualize an idea that's never been made before.
Yeah.
Like, and execute it correctly to the way your brain processed that idea.
Yeah.
To make other people process it the same way you did as an attractive item.
Yeah.
That's my job. There was a shirt that I saw recently is what's it called? Like, my job is to become rich on ideas that have never been made before. Like, I make ideas that have never been made before.
Yeah.
Like, that slogan alone is like the epitome of graphic design. Like, you have to. Like, a lot of artists, they steal. And it's like, there's a lot of notable artists. I forgot which one that pointed back to, like, great artists get inspirations, but the best artists steal. And it's like, I get that legacy, but who's going to make the new footprint for someone to steal like 20 to 50 years from now?
Yeah.
That's where the originality, you have to challenge your brain as an artist, like, to make something within boundaries that nobody's been willing to step into, which is where psych word came into play.
Yeah.
My only boundary that I could think of is making controversial art that also looked appealing. Nobody can make something that, like, the equivalent of my ideology as a teen, a rebellious, introverted, extroverted teen that didn't fit in with the preps or the rejects, was how can I make a middle finger seem attractive to both of these audiences? How can I make a very controversial statement seem appealing to the rejects that like dark humor, but also be appealing to people who were very against it?
Yeah.
That was my middle ground. That's where psych word became a thing.
Yeah, so I mean, if somebody goes to your page, the psych ward page and stuff like that, they're let's say the average Joe or the average person, their initial thought or assumption about your page would be probably that it's like a goth or satanic or something like that,
or this motherfucker's just not all there.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you were kind of getting to and kind of alluding to why you started it and doing that. You want to expound on that?
Yeah. So, like, within that controversial realm of true crime at the time when it first started, like, I had a lot of knowledge on it, but I also had a lot of knowledge on streetwear of what had never been referred to or what garments had never been made for that niche market. At the time, you could go on Etsy and look up Zodiac Killer hoodie, and it would just be a crosshair, like on a blank Gildan hoodie.
Yeah.
In my head, I was thinking, look at the sketch of the Zodiac Killer. What if I can make a full zip hoodie that makes you look like him? Like, when you fully zip it up with eye holes, like the way that the sketch looked of him.
Yeah.
And that hadn't been done for like 3 years until I finally did it. And then boom, like, I started getting notoriety for it.
Yeah.
So it's stuff like that I knew that within that niche market, nobody was making specified products for enthusiasts, like the researchers. Because people think like, oh, this guy's into John Wayne Gacy just because he's a fucked up guy. No, bro. Like, this is history. It's like the equivalent of a history teacher collecting like an old coin.
Yeah.
Like, from a historical moment. Same thing for these true crime enthusiasts. These are, I've had like actual like forensic like investigators that like study blood splatters at crime scenes like hit me up and say, yo, like, for my job to be revolved around this, you somehow made my job like a serious, very blunt topic of, like, it's a very serious job title that these people have. They've reached out to me and they've told me like, yo, you've made my job fun again. Like,
they find delight in your art.
Yeah, because it takes out that seriousness and that weight that they get from work every day.
Nobody's perspective towards their job is that there's any type of joy associated with it or anything, but that can be depressing, bro.
It can be. Imagine having a passion that everyone else sees you as crazy for. That's how I got viewed as.
Yeah.
That's how Puya and Fat Nick and Suicide Boys ended up too. Like, when they were rapping about all this sad shit, I'm sure they were told like, no, you're fucking stupid for rapping about all this like dark shit or like this depression shit and getting amusement out of it. Mm-hmm. But that's their way of coping. So
just to kind of reiterate, the way I'm interpreting what you said is that you said that, excuse me,
No, you good.
You said that you knew about this niche market, and you saw that the artistic world, the design world, or
The
the
interpretation of it
shirt
wasn't
world,
up to par.
where they were neglecting it.
Yeah.
Their interpretation wasn't up to par, and so you're like, you know what? I want to design art for this niche market and for this particular niche, but I also want to.
I guess like open an avenue for people who didn't really understand that niche crowd to be like, oh, this is what they find appealing about it. This is why. It's not because, oh, they're actually infatuated or hyping up some psycho serial killer who dresses up as a clown. They're like curious as to how his mind works.
Yeah.
Like, but that's I mean, it all came into play like when people started, being like, what is this guy covering? Oh, wait, that shirt actually looks pretty cool. Like, and then they'd read the comments like, yo, this is gas. Like, when I started seeing comments like, this is the only John Wayne Gacy tee, or this is the only like Charles Manson tee that I've seen on the internet that looks good that I'd wear in public, it sounds crazy, bro. But like, to make something so macabre that appealing to someone to the point where they don't care to wear it outside, it gives a whole new like aspect to actual identity for someone else who couldn't relate to anyone else, who felt they couldn't relate to anyone else.
Yeah, because I mean, it's weird. Because I mean, when I met you, I'm like, man, this dude is
dark.
Huh?
I'm sure you like, bro, and I don't even mind that you like perceive me as a dark individual at first, like just based off of the, you looking at my online presence. Like 100%. This is
I didn't see you online when I first met you.
Oh, okay.
The first time I met you, I met you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I didn't go online to see about your thing until I was asking Ray. It took him a while to finally get back to me or whatever. I was like, man, what's this online thing? You know what I mean? And it took a while before I finally found you. But so like my first, impression of you was not that you were dark, right? I mean, your demeanor was like how it always is, man. You're just quiet. You're not like smiling or anything. You're just there. You know what I'm saying? But you were talking and stuff, and just hearing you talking, I'm like, man, the dude seems like he has a good attitude.
Yeah.
And he seems like a real down to earth, likable dude, man. Like I feel like you could almost hear negativity, attitude, bad vibes, and those people just like people, man. That dude walks in a room, he's just like a dark cloud, or that person just comes in a room. You could kind of sense that, man, and I didn't sense any of that from you. I had a good first impression of you. And then obviously I saw your page later or whatever. But again, like I was discussing, we've had this discussion in the prior. I'm really not a person to judge a book by its cover because, I mean, my personal background and my followers already knows that like I went to prison for 6 years and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and my best friend has a capital murder charge, and he's a very good person. He's he's done something dark, right? He's done something bad, obviously.
But he's made change from it.
And I feel like every human being has the capacity for it. I mean, yeah, he's made a change. And I like something that Carl Jung says. I don't know if you're familiar with Jungian psychology or Carl Jung. He was a pretty famous psychologist or whatever. But have you heard of him?
Mm-mm.
Anyways, he says that there's multiple aspects to a person's being. And he says one of those persons, I think he calls it like the shadow. And he says that the shadow is this aspect of a person's personality or persona. And he says it's kind of like connected to hell or whatever. But he says that if you don't go down and come to terms with that person, if you don't ever, it's like what we're talking about, cognitive dissonance. Like, you know what, I'm not going to look at it. I'm just going to pretend it's not there. If you don't do that by yourself and you kind of go deep inside of yourself and be like, and okay, let me, I guess, elaborate to kind of explain it a little bit more, right? Because Jordan Peterson talks about it, and he was in psychology, and he did an experiment where he went to a prison, and I think they were kind of doing an experiment, and every day they would talk with these prisoners, and they would ask him, what have you done, blah, blah, and this one prisoner was talking about the darkest thing or something super bad that he had done, and this thing that he had done is that he had broken off like a piece of a metal bar, and he beat this dude with it, right? Got in a fight, beat him up with it, and broke his leg, right, with this metal bar, broke his bone. And Jordan Peterson, he was saying, he was thinking about it. He was like, damn, man, that's crazy, bro. Like, I can't do what these people have done. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just so crazy. So his professor told him, he says, for your work or whatever, I want you to go back to your room or whatever, and I want you to think about what it would take for you to be able to do something like that. and he says that he went back and he was really impressed in how quickly or easily he was able to
Come up with different variables.
coming up with a variable on how he was able to do something like
Yeah.
that. Now, people like that have been on the streets, right? The Puyas, the Fat Nicks, the Triple X, these people that are kind of, again, shaking their fist at society. A lot of people are like, man, how can they be like that? How can they do this? And this is the thing that I can understand through my experience that I've went through that the regular person doesn't understand, is that, man, I feel like you're not so far away from that person. Like, it doesn't take a lot for a person. And now that's not to say they're necessarily bad.
Yeah.
It's just that people perceive them as bad because of a couple things that they do, right? But like, you're, I mean, one bad luck of the draw type of thing away from maybe doing something radical.
Yeah.
You know,
Everyone is.
you know, whatever it may be. So maybe somebody dies. Maybe you
Dude,
get abused. You know, maybe,
everyone is.
you know what I mean? You get molested. Like, I mean, there's a million different things that could happen, bro.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, so that's the shadow, right? So within your being, you kind of ask yourself and you get certain feelings and you got to question those feelings, man. Whenever you're thinking a bad thought or whatever, and you like, man, where does that come from? And you just go deep and like, man, how evil, how bad can I be when you're thinking about doing something bad? And me, I've gone there and I wrestle with that. And for me, in my faith, bro, that's why I feel like, I mean, you know, I'm a Christian by faith, but not really in the, man, it's hard to explain it, but I'm not like I didn't find God at church. I found God in prison.
Through life.
And I found God
Through
because
tribulation.
I was reading the Bible.
But it was through tribulation.
It was through
Which
tribulation.
goes back to our opening statement.
Yeah, it was through tribulation. It was a lot of things, right? Like my family introduced me to him at first, but where I really found the relationship and solidified that relationship and really have forgotten a pretty grasp of who God was, it was in prison and through his word. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I mention that is because, you know, the Bible talks about repentance from sin. And one of the ways that you got to do this is you got to understand how much of a sinner you are. Right now, I'm talking in religious context and stuff like that. That kind of goes along with I'm talking about what union is, bro. Is that I came to this place where I understood, like, man, I could be a really dark person if I just kind of let this go in that direction. You know what I mean? And but there's also a choice, right? And that choice is like, man, there's this other choice, which is the call of the Lord, and the call of the Lord is to, all right, deny yourself. Take up your cross and follow me daily. Follow this better way. Follow this better spirit, this guiding spirit that is, you know what I mean? And so that's what I chose to do. And on a daily basis, that wrestling that is between the shadow, right? What we would call the union shadow, or the Bible would call it our carnal desires or fleshly lust, or the external temptations that are kind of submitted into our mind or our psyche through the enemy or demonic forces or whatever, all that stuff, right? They're kind of, I'm talking about them on two different planes, one religious and one psychological. But to me, they're one and the same. And yeah, man, my choice is that I submit to the Spirit of the Lord and I crucify those desires. But anyways, I went off on a far tangent, bro. What was the point of that?
You were bringing up, like, you were discussing the way that people think from having that disciplined mindset when we were referring back to, like, my work schedule and shit. Like, this is where that rooted from, at least this conversation, when it comes from bringing up right or wrong and me making something that was so controversial appealing to both sides.
Okay, I remember what it was is that, you know, these people like Puya and Fat Nick, right? They're kind of, their art is like dark.
Yeah.
What I wanted to say about that is the thing that I kind of like. I maybe like isn't the right word, but for lack of a better word, what I like is that they're at least talking about it.
Yeah.
And I got to be able to respect that, because what I'm talking about is a lot of people, both in the Christian faith and both in psychologically, both in any realm, they don't want to go there with that darker side of themselves, and they don't want to come to terms with the fact that, bro, you have the capacity to be dark. Like, just admit it.
Yeah.
You think bad thoughts, you know what I mean? Just like everybody else, you know what I mean? And that's what I like, right? Again, for lack of a better word about Puya and Fat Nick, is that they go there. Now, you kind of went there with your art and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What would you say to people that would be like, man, it seems like, you're glorifying what those people did, right? You know what I mean?
So,
Because
like, how
of
would
course
I
there's gonna be
elaborate?
people. I don't think that, right? Again,
Yeah.
I met you and stuff like that,
But
but
how would I elaborate it to them of why I do it?
yeah,
Okay, so like moral of the story is like it goes back to my ideologies based on realism, not on I have faith, obviously. Like now that I've grown, I know that there's a God out there. I know that there's something out there, the universe, like an entity that puts shit in line, in place for you based on your decisions, whether it's cheating the system and getting a quick satisfaction, route of pleasure and like joy and self-satisfaction, or if you take the long hard route the way you explained, like getting your cross and going the right way, going in the right path of the Lord. My ideology, the way I found God, was through at least me morally taking the hard work, bootstrap, like I earned this shit, it paid off. Yes, it's gonna pay off in 10 years rather than me taking the shortcut, like in signing to someone or getting capital funding from someone and getting the advertisement, like marketing rights, all taken care of for me. At what cost though? Of me owning like 90% of an idea that I came up with originally just because someone had money behind it. Fuck that. I'm gonna work hard for my stuff. The rough, I guess, short statement of why I do what I do, like within the true crime realm, is because this shit's real life. Whatever schools, doctors, lawyers, whatever they paint, when you go to a doctor school, when you go to a lawyer school, when you go to school to become an ER nurse, it's not all rainbows and sunshine. Those people that are teaching you are teaching you for a reason, because they saw the harsh reality of what they were taught and found a step away to be able to put other people in that position. Life is hard. I guarantee you, anyone that goes to school to become a nurse or to become an ER paramedic, they've seen some of the craziest injuries to people, some fatal. It's real life. But those aspects of life have traumatized them to the point where they can at least appreciate a wake up every single day. Because I'm sure they've seen brutal car accidents, brutal injuries. That's what I'm doing with true crime. That's my rendition. Like, yo, this shit's real life. There's evil people out there that do stuff like this. I'm not glorifying like people chopped up and shit, or like people like Charles Manson, like, oh, this guy was a god. He wasn't. He was a intellectual but evil person. He used his wits for the wrong reason. He used his intellect for the wrong reason. John Wayne Gacy was smart enough that he knew like his target was youth. How could he get closer to youth? By performing at birthday parties. These people use the smartest way to do the worst things possible. But that's real life. That's what this world is filled with. It's not all rainbows and sunshine. After you graduate college, you go to school, you get a degree, you get a job, boom, you're making 6 figures a year. It's not that. Shit can get cut off in an instant because some evil person could have drunk driven into your car, crashed into you, fucked up your life, killed you. Someone evil with a gun could easily, while you're watching a movie in the drive-through theater, pop someone, could pop you. Your life can be taken in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But that's what I do through my art, is I bring awareness like, yo, this is the harsh reality of the world. This is the harsh reality of the world. It's shown in history. This is history that's been thrown under the rugs. I bring awareness to the realism that the educational system and college systems nowadays usually push aside because it's a sensitive topic. Why is it sensitive? Because it's real. Why do psychologists, instead of saying, yo, we should really express your emotions on paper, when someone comes to them, says, yo, I'm depressed, what's the first thing they do? They push a pill towards you. Yo, well, I mean, you have similar symptoms written on paper to the last guy from 2 years ago. He tried this pill. It might work for you at this dosage. And if it doesn't work, who's to say that that person's going to feel the same way as him?
Yeah.
Who's to say that person is going to take those medications and just go spiral down into even more bad shit?
Yeah.
Like that is the harsh reality. There's no escape from the evil in the world. So why not bring attention towards it? It's like with Puya and shit, like Puya and Suicide Boys and Fat Nick did at the beginning of their career. They brought light towards a topic that nobody had the balls to talk about. Nobody's had
Bro, so the way that I'm like
this topic in light.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the way that I'm interpreting what you're saying is it's like you draw attention to a dark topic, not to glorify the topic, but to withdraw appreciation to the opposite of that thing. So if I can use like an example, like a metaphor, it's like shading and drawing.
Yeah.
If you can shade good, bro, the shade draws attention to the drawing itself. Mm-hmm. Or like a star, bro. You wouldn't notice the brightness or the shining of a star without the blackness that's surrounding it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so you're drawing attention to this dark thing. That is your art. But what you really want people to grasp the appreciation of is, yeah, the art, but also the fact that we need to appreciate the good in this world.
Yeah.
We need to appreciate the people that use their gifts for good, unlike these people that were using these gifts for evil or whatever. Yeah. You know, is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of people, when I first started this stuff, Charles Manson was like the main topic that I was covering because I studied him the longest. People would comment on my page like, yo, you're covering a white supremacist. Now, put it in this perspective. Obviously, that's a controversial topic when people are assuming you're glorifying them. But think about it. Some Mexican kid, right, who has this moral aspect of life and realism is using a top profile white supremacist figure and becoming, like, making a living off of someone who wanted them dead if they were in the same room. Does it seem so bad at that point? If I'm making money as a Mexican kid, making money off Charles Manson?
Yeah.
Charles Manson would have wanted me dead if I was in front of him.
Yeah.
G.G. Allen would have wanted me dead if I was in front of him. He would have called me wetback. He would have called me spick. He would have called me a beaner. Like, these people would have called me racial slurs.
Yeah.
Who's to say that I'm not doing justice to the people that they did wrong within my community, within others' community, by making a living off of them and putting that income that comes off of their figure that I portrayed and using it to give like $6,000 worth of clothes back to the Mexican skate community. Turning bad things into a good byproduct.
Yeah, and in a general fundamental sense, bro, I agree with that concept.
That is my moral aspect of what I do.
I think it's good.
Yeah.
You're doing it in art. I think it's good. Not only do I think it's good, I think it's needed, bro.
Yeah.
Some big people, and one example that strikes in mind is like Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Have you heard of him?
No, I haven't.
He was a guy that he was in the Russian gulags. He was like in World War II, and he got locked up for, I guess, talking against Stalin or whatever. Mm-hmm. But anyways, he wrote a book called The Gulag Archipelago.
Okay.
And it's basically like everything he experienced and stuff like that. And there's like, I don't know, there's like 3 big, long, lengthy books basically talking about how everybody that went wrong and how Russia got to the point where it was, where, you know, Stalin killed a lot of people. But anyways, my point is that the Russian people learned a lot from what he was saying, and he was shining light on a lot of dark aspects about the society, about the people as a collective altogether, what they were doing. Basically, in a nutshell, he was saying that they were so afraid of the tyrannical government at that time that everybody started constantly lying about and to one another. And the reason they would lie is because if you were telling the truth, like let's say you asked me, hey man, how's your day? Oh man, it was shit, bro. I had a horrible day, man, or whatever. Oh man, so you think, like, you know what I mean, you have a bad job because you think the economy is bad, you think the government is doing something wrong. So like if they could say, like, you're speaking, they could take it completely out of context, say that you're speaking against the government or the current leadership in the world or whatever, you know, because it's not good, and you could have me locked up, right? And I was a conspirator against the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And a lot of people
just for having independent thoughts.
So supposedly 2 out of every 5 people during that time frame was an informant. was a government informant, bro. You couldn't trust your own people. So people were constantly lying to one another. You know what I mean? And
Holy
he's shining a
shit.
light on that. And
Yeah.
basically, like, Russia learned from it in a nutshell and, like, kind of never went back there. And also the world at whole learned from it. And the world at whole has learned from a lot of the mistakes that people have made, both as the tyrants, but the tyrants wouldn't have been able to accomplish it had the people not followed their leadership.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it comes down again to the darkness within everybody. So yeah, I think it's needed, bro.
Yeah.
I think it's needed. So anyways, I guess moving on from there, you're at your senior year. Did you want to touch anything in that, or did you want to?
I mean,
Or you want to fast?
it's pretty, like, I'll fast forward from there because, like, a lot of the time, like, after Ivan, taught me the basics, I was just YouTubing, studying, and then boom, graduate high school, right? I'm in college. I decide, you know what, I want to go to school for graphic design. My mom said, yo, if you're going to be in my house, you're going to be doing this shit, you got to at least go to school for something. So I was like, well, might as well go to school for what I'm already doing. Like, I already have, fast forward, graduating high school, going into college, I already have 2 years ahead of anyone that's going to school for graphic design, period.
Yeah.
Because I taught myself Photoshop. Like, I'm going to go in the door, already knowing what some majority of the tools do. And after like 6 months of being there, when a professor was teaching about like lasso tool, a lot of graphic designers will understand this. He was using this tool, like a sub tool called the magnetic lasso tool, of how to like cut out an image basically and put it on a base background. And I had told him, no, it's easier if you use this lasso tool. I think it was the polygonal lasso tool instead of magnetic. It was like a different sub tool. It was like, okay, well, if you want to teach us how to make this look like the final image, why don't you come here and teach a class? So I was like, okay. And I went up there. I taught the class. I made it look identical to the final image that was shown on the board. The whole classroom clapped. I sat back down. And it fucked up his whole course because it wasn't even what was on the books. It's just what I taught myself from my high school years.
Yeah.
So he let the whole class out early and held me back. And when he held me back, he said, you do that shit again in my class, you will never step a foot near that door ever again. Like,
What?
I'm going to fail you for my class for trying to think you can step into my career path that I studied 10 years for and just do some shit like that just because you're feeling like a smart ass that day. Told me exactly like that.
Yeah.
So what did I do? I was like, well, shit, if I knew a better solution that took a quarter of the time from this 2-hour fucking class this dude studied 10 years for, fuck this shit, I'm dropping out. I didn't tell my mom that I dropped out of college. Like, at all. I just dropped out. I fucking dropped all my classes. Ended up finding that I still qualified for financial aid. They had given me a check. I hadn't known about it until like 4 months later that the check was in my name of like $4,000. Mind you, I'm working off of a shitty $200 MacBook that's cracked, filled with viruses. Like, it's already seen like 4 years worth of like being ran through like after being refurbished.
Yeah.
Plus an additional like 10, 12 years of being outdated. And when I saw that check, I was like, man, fuck this shit. I'm going to buy myself a Mac.
Yeah.
So I bought myself a Mac off Facebook again. It was a little bit more like high end, like $800. And with the rest of the money, I deposited it and I bought myself Photoshop. And I tell my mom in the morning, yo, I'm going to school. I'll see you later. Like at 8, 9 a.m., I'd go to a coffee shop. And I started, at first, for like the first month and a half, I wasn't making any money, but I was posting my content on the internet. And then I finally got a bite. Never going to forget it. This brand, Nightmares MFG, they booked me. They were like, yo, can we buy 3 designs for $80 a piece? I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm making that bi-weekly at Peter Piper. Like, after taxes. I can make this shit in a day? Fuck yeah, I took the job. Did good on it. He referred me to another homie. Yo, can I buy 4 designs for $80 a piece? Boom, $240 in one day off designs. Sold them. Made my money back. I got referred to 2 more. Plus, Nightmares MFG and another brand came back. So it got to a point where I was making $900 a day from a coffee shop. off of another Facebook bot MacBook
Yeah.
with the financial aid money that like from a school that I had dropped out of.
Yeah.
My parents have no idea. Plus, I'm still going to my part-time job. So I was racking up. By the time they found out that I dropped out, I had saved up like 8K. And it was like within a month and a half, 2 months that they ended up finding out.
Yeah.
They got my report card and they were like, 004, 003, what are these, your room numbers for next year? I was like, nah, those are my grades. I had like a 4 in English, bro. I had zeros like in graphic design.
Yeah.
Because when it got to the point of the final exam for graphics, I asked the professor, like, yo, like, when are we gonna... This was around the time that I, like, pulled that play in front of the whole class. It was a week before finals. The week of finals, he said, for your final exam, you're gonna draw a pair. And I asked, when are we gonna learn Photoshop? He's like, well, if you pass, you get the book that teaches you. I was like, man, fuck this shit. That's why I dropped out.
Yeah.
Because they weren't really teaching me my passion at all. Ended up listening to Suicide Boys and Puya continuously, like Fat Nick continuously, Tara Reid, while designing. And then fast forward to 2023, what I ended up dropping out for, I ended up getting flown out to Miami by them to design whole capsules for their whole label, to the point where they were like, you know what, you're good enough to be one of our creative directors for the whole record label, not just one person.
Yeah.
Like, it got to the point where I was doing creative direction for the whole tour rollout, like of propaganda and shit, like propaganda posts and like, you know, like advertisement rollouts for the whole tour and stage visuals, like the background visuals on the screen, like while they're performing, like actual, like even down to the merchandise for the tour.
How many years ago was that?
This was 2023. This was 2020. This was last year.
Wow.
But I think about it, I've been listening to them since 2012, 2013. Like, look at how full circle that
crazy.
is. I related them when I was an outcast, ended up perfecting my craft as an outcast. Now I'm working with the voice to my 13-year-old outcast self. Like, the one voice that I related to is now like a call away and calling me a brother, like telling me happy birthday.
Yeah.
When in a million years I wouldn't even think I'd be like a part of a project for G59.
Bro, that's crazy. And I mean, again, right, I don't know, but that art that you created, you said it's graphics like on their screen and stuff. You did some merch for them. Was that merch just for like the tours that they were doing, or like can it still be found like on a website somewhere or what?
At first it was for a tour, but me and Fat Nick, we have a couple of projects coming out that I still can't disclose yet, just so the public eye. I can show you after this, but yeah, we have a lot of, you know, we have a huge clothing project in the way.
Okay.
That's gonna be releasing or debuting pretty soon. This upcoming, I think, July or August.
So if people, I guess now that we're on it, if they want to follow you or follow your work or look out for those upcoming things, how do they kind of keep up to date with whatever
they
it is
can
you're
follow
doing?
me, Fat Nick and Puya, all the 6 records. They usually tag me in all the flyers that I design too. But yeah, just follow me at Mike Molly. It's MIKEM and then 0 LLY.
Okay. And that's on what? Everything.
Twitter, Instagram. Well, basically those 2 platforms. That's everything to me.
Yeah.
I'm still like even selective with the social media platforms I work on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a pretty crazy come up story. And like nowadays, you ask anyone around here if they know about Suicide Boys, majority of the time they're gonna tell you yeah. Like, and it's crazy for me to talk to like kids within my age group and tell them, yeah, like I do like work for Puya and Fat Nick. I did project work for the Grade A tour for Puya. Like, a lot of them are like, what? Like, freaking the fuck out, because 7 years ago, they were relating to them the same way I did. That's why it brings me so much joy. Like, this is a whole new venue. Like, as an entrepreneur, of course, it's a new venue of revenue, you know?
Yeah.
It's a new stream of revenue. But at the same time, it's like, whoa, now I get to further deep into my passion of just making art alone. I don't have to stick within this box of a niche clientele that I see as being neglected. Now it's me being able to do whatever the hell I want, like within the art realm, and make whatever I want, and
Yeah.
it be fed to an audience, and that audience being able to get satisfaction out of it.
Yeah.
It's cool because like even art that like is outside of that niche, like people respect it. A lot of people respect it, and that makes me happy.
Yeah.
Even there's always haters, always gonna be haters, but it comes down to actions speak louder than words. If one person hates on something 1,000 people like, and I make something 1,000,000 people like, 1,000 people are gonna hate.
Yeah.
That it's just you have to come to that certain understanding of reality.
Yeah.
That you cannot please everyone, but as long as you're pleasing yourself, you're good.
Yeah.
The people will come along that appreciate what you appreciate.
Yeah.
So, I'm really grateful, man. Like Puya, Fat Nick, they changed my life, straight up.
Yeah. And are you gonna continue? Like, obviously, you're gonna continue like doing art for them, but well, what you had started your own brand, right?
Yeah, psych word.
Psych Ward.
I started it when I was 16.
Do you want to touch on that whole thing? I mean, I know you already talked about it in another video. I don't necessarily like. You don't have to go over it if you want to, but did you want to touch on that?
Yeah, we can. What do you
Just
wanna know
a
about it?
real quick rundown on that story.
It's just I mean it is that story of just me noticing that the true crime like community was neglected, like apparel and novelty item wise.
No, but then on the whole
Okay.
Shopify thing and all that.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so boom, fast forward to 2022 November. I end up making it's a very controversial piece. It's the CHS track and field tee. I don't if you even put it on this video, you'll get flagged. So I highly recommend not even look at like the photo of it. But if you look it up, I did make a very controversial piece for people who were interested in the Columbine case. That case ended like case shirt or garment ended up getting so much coverage on Twitter of people being like, whoa, this is hard. And on the other side being like, yo, this is fucked up. They didn't understand the morality of the brand, the attitude, and what its whole purpose was. It wasn't here to please anybody. We cover topics that are uncomfortable to talk about.
And like, why is it so controversial? I've never seen
Just because of the topic around mass shootings. It was a
So it's more the topic. It's not a particular picture. That
it
the picture
literally
is just,
looked like a bootleg track and field tee, but it had blood splatter on it. That was it.
Really?
It looks like a old vintage track and field tee, but it has like actual imagery of blood splattered on it, and that's what like triggered Shopify. Not even the graphic itself on the shirt, just the blood splatter. They saw it as a sensitive subject. Long story short, this shirt ends up going viral due to controversy. A lot of weirdos out there, and especially my weirdos, which I fucking love y'all. A lot of weirdos, quote unquote, ended up buying it. And the shirt ended up making like 10.9K just that one shirt alone within like a weekend.
yeah.
And then over time, it ended up making 22K just that shirt alone and some other shirts I released. Well, when the Twitter threads started linking it and people noticed like, oh, he's based on Shopify, I'm going to report this item to Shopify. They started sending in reports. By the next morning, it had 10,000 reports, like to Shopify. Shopify immediately took all the order logs with that one product, that violated product, the Columbine product, and they ended up forcefully refunding it, but ruling it as a chargeback. Like that I lost, quote unquote, because they had to forcefully refund it. And a chargeback on a Shopify account, it's a hard hit.
Mm-hmm.
That means that they can put a reserve funds hold on you. So think about it. Overall, within that month, it made like 38K to 42K worth of sales. I spent all 42K of that putting into the overhead, getting the facility, which was Molly Inc., the V1 facility, the equipment, the inks, all the materials necessary to be like make the products, the shipping supplies, paying paying staff, like hiring staff and onboarding them to help with the production and speed up the time frame, all the shipping supplies, the shipping tables, room for the boxes of blanks to be put, additional screens, squeegees to be able to print that big, basically everything.
Yeah.
None of it got pocketed to me. The one who got paid the most was the person I collabed on that with, which I prefer not to say names because I don't want to tie further controversy to him and have the same thing happen to him.
Yeah.
But I paid him out. It was like we both made 10K profit at the end. I gave him his first, I think it was 5K, or yeah, it was like 5K, right? I paid him. This is before I even get flagged. And I had 5K myself, and I decided, you know what, I'm just going to put the rest towards, I'm going to put the 3K towards all the shipping, then the 2K is just the next month of overhead, like covered. I broke even. This dude got enough money to get himself a car, and we're good. I can keep doing what I love. As soon as I was about to ship everything, Shopify says this product got violated. We're forcefully refunding 19.9K worth of products that violated the Shopify guidelines of all orders consisting of that one product. And it was December 28th. I'm never going to forget it. I saw my account go from 2.8K after buying all the shipping labels to going to negative $17,000 in my one base business account. Anyone seeing that number when they wake up immediately starts thinking the darkest things. And we're not going to talk about it, but
dude, that's crazy, bro.
Imagine you wake up one day like you worked your ass off for a whole 3 months, right? And right when you're about to finish this set goal, like you wake up and you're in enough debt to file for bankruptcy for 20 years. Yeah, that's what I was
saying. They should have honored those orders and then told you, like, hey, you can't do this anymore.
I had just turned 22 like 3 months prior.
Yeah.
Like, and I went from it was June of 2022. I was about to buy a house off this. And then I pulled back and said, you know what, I want to buy a shop so I can further expand on speeding up production times, speeding up shipping times, making sure that my products are up to par quality wise. I did everything right.
Yeah.
Took that long route, and even then I got screwed over.
Yeah.
Just because of one product. And I get it. It's controversy based, but the brand, at the end of the day, we always give back. We turn bads into goods.
Yeah.
And it sucked seeing that happen. So when I got put into debt, rolling into 2023, I legit had $20 to my name after I paid off. Like, I figured out how to make just the right amount, like within my personal account, because my business account was negative.
Mm-hmm.
Off of commissions to pay rent. Even with negative 17K in my business account, I did enough commissions to where I paid rent. And that January of 2023, Nick called me. I had $300 left. And he said, yo, I need you out here in Miami. We need you to cater for a whole collection, like for a clothing brand that I want to start. I go out there. He gives me the rundown. Yo, how much do I need to pay you? I give him the rundown. It's barely enough to cover rent. He pays me. After I come back, we do the whole design run. I get introduced to everybody. Come back. Then Puya asks me, hey, I need you to design the cover for Gator. I design it. The cover I designed it.
What is Gator, the name of his album?
Yeah. It was his last certified album that he, like...
So your art is on that cover?
Yeah. But I made this... I got asked this while I was in San Antonio with my parents for my grandpa's birthday. I was in a hotel room. I didn't have my laptop, like my second laptop near me that I had saved up for like the years prior. Mm-hmm. I had my messed up one just because I was watching movies. And he says, yo, Apple needs clearance on a cover art. I have 8 hours. Do you think you can make one? I was like, fuck yeah. Like, okay, it's going to be called Gator. I want a visual of a gator with your style, any representation you want. Just make it look gas, like make it look fire. So I got a shampoo bottle. I didn't have markers. I drew out the letters. It's all on my page. It's a pin post on my page. I ended up making the letters out of a shampoo bottle because I was still broke. Like I I had literally went on that trip with my mom.
I
Yo,
made the
with
layers
my
out of
mom.
a shampoo
Yo,
bottle.
with my mom, because like I was there in San Antonio with my mom because like I couldn't afford it. I was sleeping on the couch like of the hotel room. Like I couldn't even pay enough for my room. I had to ask for a commission, like paid in advance, so that way I could have enough gas money to go see my grandpa for his birthday
Yeah.
and come back. So I start working on the graphic, and I immediately like my laptop just turns off. It fries. Mind you, it's 5 hours till deadline till I have to submit this album cover to Apple Music, to Puya, his management, and they submitted to Apple Music for verification. Before my deadline is met up, if I miss the deadline, Puya's rollout was like delayed, and this was something last minute that someone, I don't know what the story is, why it was given to me so last minute. But long story short, I was in San Antonio and I got told, yo, you have 5 hours left. From here to San Antonio, it's 4 hours. And my laptop is screwed. The only working computer is back home that I have. And I have to pray that like my iCloud saved all the data before my laptop crashed for it to show up on my desktop. There's only one way to find out. I told my mom, yo.
Don't tell me, bro.
Dude, I told my mom, yo, I have the chance to finally get like an album cover listed on the Billboard 100s. I have 5 hours. It takes 4 minutes and it takes 4 hours and 20 minutes to get home. Can I leave early? Like, because we had already celebrated my grandpa's birthday. They wanted me to go to an aquarium with the family. I said, can I leave early? This is the breakthrough that I need. And at first they were very hesitant. I told them who it was for. They said, go for it. Good luck. Hope you make it. Hauled ass from San Antonio all the way home to Edinburgh. By the time I got home, it was literally like 58 minutes, dude, left. Like 58, 57, 56 minutes. It was in the 50 range.
Yeah.
Of 50 minutes left. Turn on my computer. It's taking like 5 minutes to reboot. I'm like, come on, bro. Wake up.
Yeah.
Like, start up already. And it's like, I hadn't turned it on my
Every
desktop
minute's
for
like a freaking eternity.
I hadn't turned on my laptop in 2 years, like the desktop, until that point in time. It was just sitting plugged in.
Yeah.
After it booted up, the first file I see is Gator, work in progress, and it had updated right before it crashed. Like right before my laptop crashed, it updated to my iCloud that I pressed save.
Yeah.
That I pressed Command S on my computer.
Yeah.
I open up the file. Everything is identical to what it was before it crashed. I finished it. I worked on the graphic. Right when I finished it, it was 3 minutes till deadline. I had just finished it. It was finalized. Boom, perfect. It was supposed to be submitted, I think, like at 8 o'clock. It was like 7:57, dude. I go into Gmail. My router starts giving up. Like literally 3 minutes before I turn on my hotspot, I connected my computer to it. I had like a minute and 30 seconds left. The BSD file is loading literally like 20 seconds before deadline. I click send and it goes through. And Puya's like, I got it, just forwarded it to management. Thank you so much, Molly. He paid me like $100 on top because I only asked for $100. He was like, yo, how much are you going to charge me for this? It's my last album. Charged him the base rate. No matter what, like at anyone who got, a commission from Puya, I'm sure they'd be like, oh, I need $1,000. I need $2,000. Me going through all that bullshit, I was like, yo, my flat rate. What y'all already paid me. Y'all are already blessing me with this placement because I understood that placement is a big deal.
Yeah.
2 days later, right? The album doesn't drop for 2 days. 2 days later, I'm at the shop. I'm like, fuck, okay, well, we're $500 bucks above what we need for like all overhead. Boom. Okay, cool. I made like $500 profit this month. I see Puya post, Gator out now, and I'm tagged on the post. Legit within 1 hour, I see like notifications banging like crazy. I see a bunch of people messaging me that, mind you, in a time where I needed it most. Like, I had just got myself out of debt, 17K, after working with Fat Nick and Puya. Like, this is like 2 months, 3 months of working my ass off. As soon as I was about to pay the light bill with the remaining 500, a bunch of people, a bunch of my supporters, like now new supporters, started DMing me for the first time after finding out about me through that album cover. How much do you charge for a design? Okay, cool. You charge this rate? I want to buy 8 of them. Like, and this was like 50 to 70 people within 1 hour.
Yeah.
Overnight, I had like, it was 300 requests wanting to buy graphics off of me. That alone, what I made off those graphics is what I would have made off of 3 months worth of running Psychward.
Yeah.
When in a time where I wasn't seeing that money anymore for that meantime because of what Shopify did to me.
Yeah.
So that really changed my perspective on, oh shit, if a lot of people like my work, maybe I don't need to stick within just this one niche market. That's where I started growing that avenue.
So, you know, there's a verse in the Bible, I like it, and I believe it's super true. And it said, all things, I think it's Romans 8:28, all things work for the greater good to those who love him and are called according to his purposes.
Dude.
What do you think, like, if you could take back everything that happened with Shopify and all that bad that happened, would you do it, or do you think there's a greater good that has come from this whole thing?
Because I had told Nick and Puya prior, like, what had happened to me, and they understood. So they immediately wanted to give me work.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Because I had the free time. Like, it was my only hope.
And it also, as you just said, it lets you know, or it confirmed within yourself that, hey, I don't got to stay stuck here on this particular niche market.
Yeah.
Everybody appreciates my art. There's a creativeness that is in everything that I do.
Yeah.
That anybody across a broad spectrum can appreciate.
I will admit there was a lot of people upset with what Shopify did to me because it affected their orders. Like, I never consider, like, my order money that comes in my money. It's my supporters' money.
Yeah.
So I just fulfilled the cool product that they end up getting back.
Yeah.
With Shopify holding that amount on top of me and just withdrawing it from me, they put me in debt out of the amount that my supporters gave my ideas.
Yeah.
So I had to make the idea money back that I was in debt, plus another $19,000 to recover.
Yeah.
All the shipping, all the funding, all the overhead expenses. I had to make $19K times 2.
Well, hopefully.
And this is barely getting resolved this year. Like, I barely resolved this after meeting Ray.
Yeah, you were saying you're going to finally ship out a lot of those orders. That's what the last other interview that you were on.
That's what all those boxes at the shop are. Like, it's all pre-packaged, pre-printed goods that I've been working, like, slowly piecemealing. I was put in a position where I had no choice but to, like, I made $1,000 profit this month. Boom, I'm going to get at least $1,000 worth of stuff made rather than none.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the long route, but it's still the right route. Goes back to the moral perspective, the moral compass of religion, your religious ideologies and my realism ideologies that soon later converted into religious ideologies as well.
Mm-hmm.
I was getting dragged through the mud, man. Like, a lot of people thought that I was, like, pulling a rug pull scam on the internet.
Yeah.
That wasn't the case. When I started posting receipts, people like Stay Grounded, Twisted World, like that YouTuber, at first they started getting this perspective of me as, oh shit, this guy is a shitty person. But once I told them my story and showed them receipts, they actually understood, like, man, this guy really did get fucked up.
Yeah.
And Fat Nick and Puya did save him.
Yeah.
And they do. And I say that openly. Say that open-heartedly. This was not independent.
Yeah.
Yes, I made my artwork that paid off that debt and got me back on my feet and my brand back on its feet barely, like, through recovery. But it wouldn't have been possible without the supporters.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been possible without Fat Nick and Puya and all but 6 believing in me.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for that one client who paid me $300 to drive all the way to San Antonio, but have like $200 left in my account, and for Fat Nick buying my flight to go to Miami and paying for my flight back. When I got back home, I only had like $80, and then Fat Nick wired me my payment. And it was the biggest job. It was the first big job, design job that I had ever been given.
Man, that's a amazing story, man. And you know, it seems like that was the Shopify thing was just a minor setback to a major come up type of
Yeah.
thing. And I hope everybody can now understand. And since you've explained it in so much detail, bro, understand the obstacles and the roadblocks and the difficulty that somebody who's trying to do something like this can encounter. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, I think people that don't run a business, they don't understand how difficult it is. Like Ray talks about it all the time.
There's
That
so
people will
many
be like,
tribulations.
"Hey, man, why don't you do this or do that?" Or, "Man, that'd be cool. That'd be that." And it's like,
If it's so easy, you do it.
right? Exactly,
Yeah.
bro. Exactly. And I mean, I know oh man,
But to get to the point to even have like a suggested, like the suggested option,
Yeah.
like a variable, like of, oh, you should just do this and this. Think about how long it took to even have that option.
yeah,
Like, because 4 years ago, shit, like it wasn't, oh, you could just design for Nick and Pooya, make the money back, boom. 4 years ago, I didn't have that option. It took me 4, 6 years, 7 years to even get to that position, to even
Yeah.
have that opportunity. And it's not promised.
yeah,
Like any logical person from the outside, yeah, they're able to think like that because they have a job as their backbone to be able to think like that and sit back after their 9 to 5 and say so. Like, oh, well, this is the most reasonable, solution. But put in the perspective on something that like someone is relying on that source of income and that, that livelihood just getting stripped away from them and then having to solve everything.
yeah,
I got rug pulled out of my own brand for 2 years
yeah,
by a corporation that I couldn't fight in legal. Like, I couldn't take that to court because I
Yeah.
signed agreement forms when I opened up that website.
yeah,
That they had access to do that. I
Yeah.
agreed to those terms in the fine print that I didn't read 2 years prior.
yeah.
So they had every right to do that. And that's where
And in
I
a lot of
messed
those
up.
agreements, it's like they say that if you have a dispute, it has to go through arbitration, and even if you go through all of that, you're still dead in the water. Like hypothetically,
I
yeah.
barely got my disputes like looked over again after 2 years.
Yeah,
It's been 2 years, man.
yeah,
It's been 2 years. And even after I gained all the capital to make all this stuff back, the day that it came to shipping it was like June 2023 when I got all the funding, everything made, and all the funding like to pay for the shipping. By the time I clicked on Shopify, all my order logs were locked. They didn't even let me press the ship button.
yeah,
They locked my order logs. Like it would just show an error code every time I'd say print postage.
yeah,
So imagine doing all that work for another 6 months and then seeing like, yo, Shopify's not even letting me, fix my brand.
yeah,
I felt like I was locked in prison, bro.
yeah,
Because now I'm in a print shop with, think about it, 8,000 to 10,000 printed garments that took me 6 months to make. Printed by hand, no automatic. Because I couldn't afford that kind of upgrade at that time. Think about it. Like, I
Yeah.
printed 10,000 garments manually. Even after getting put into debt 6 months later, just to be told, oh, all those 10,000 garments you printed, you can't ship them.
damn, bro.
Then you're stuck with 10,000 units in a warehouse. Where are you going to put this stuff? We can't afford a storage unit. We can barely afford rent and light.
Yeah.
Our one hope was to ship out all that stuff so that way we could get rid of it and then proceed with the next collection because
Yeah.
we learned from our wrongs.
Mm.
And even then, I couldn't fix my my wrong to right because a corporation didn't let me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
I
man.
barely fixed this. I barely got this. Not barely fixed this. I've been making attempts for 2 years to fix this stuff.
Yeah.
I got everything made, and it literally took a legal team and a third party payment processing system agency to legally represent for me and get this fixed. Like their attorneys to hit up Shopify's attorneys and say, yo, these are the damages you did. This is what my client lost within this time frame. This is what he had to spend to even get back to this point. He's just asking for what you took from them. They took $19K from me, but I got put in the whole $76K worth of expenses.
Yeah.
Because think about it, I had to make $19K twice, plus overhead for a whole year. That's just rent. Light each month was $1,200, not including the inks Every ink gallon costs anywhere from 200 to 800, and we were using like 12 to 14 different colors.
Yeah.
On top of that, screens. On top of that, blanks. On top of that, blank credit line. On top of that, squeegees, emulsion, all the different chemicals you need for the screen. Screen cleaner, water. What else? Shipping, packaging supplies. Like, dude, I literally, like, last year, my reported income, and I'll be open about it. Reported income was like 129,000. My accountant was so pissed off because I only paid myself 2,000 throughout the entire year. They put me in debt, crazy, bro. And I'm thankful, like, bro, I'm so thankful that I'm out that hole now.
Yeah.
But even then, like, dude, for me to go balls to the wall and still barely break even, like, people don't understand that perspective. What I got put through mentally, a lot of the people who were hating on me online. I could easily imagine, like, my biggest hater right now, straight up. My biggest hater right now that said, oh, all you got to do is this, and this. Why don't you just do that? It sounds easy to them. But let's see what happens when they wake up tomorrow with negative $17,000 in their account. What are they going to think then?
Yeah.
Every first possible worst idea in their head when they see something like that, because it's crippling. That's something that was put on me. I couldn't even sleep.
I mean, I just went through a similar situation like that, and I'm not the type to, like, you're telling your story and then I talk about my story, but I think it's relevant because Chase took money out of my account. The ATM malfunctioned, deposited $600, spit out a receipt, and it said there was an error. Call the claims department. Called the claims. Claims said, hey, we'll put it back in your account. 2 hours later, it was back in my account.
Yeah.
30 days after that, they took it back. I called the claims. What happened? You took the money back. They said the results of our investigation was that there was no error on our part. We took the money back. So I said, well, I mean, there's a video camera on every ATM. Like, I deposited the money. I'm not lying. Like, look at the video. They said, we don't look at the video. I said, well, how do you freaking come to this conclusion? They said, well, we looked back at the ATM, and the ATM... I said, the ATM malfunctioned. This is why we're here in the first place. And you're telling me you go back to the computer data, the ATM, and you think it's going to tell you the truth? It malfunctioned.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, look at the video. They're like, well, we don't look at the video. That's the result of our investigation. If you want the video, like, you could go and try to get the video yourself. I was like, all right. So I go call the video department. I said, I want the video. They said, we can't hand over the video to you. I said, well, how can I get the video? They said, you got to have an investigator call down here and get the video. Oh, so I called the police station to have an investigator. I said, hey, they told me I need to get an investigator to call down and get the video. They said, well, we can't call down unless you file an actual police report and go through that whole process, right? And then we need to, get through subpoena and all that.
Yeah.
So Chase basically told me in so many words what I found out. You have to sue us and get an investigator to call down here, and we'll give the video to them.
But they give you the whole runaround to the point. By the time you actually find out that solution, it's what, like 3-4 months.
Bro, it took me over a year.
Yeah.
This was in May of 2023.
I believe it.
The judge filed he filed like in me, like for me, right? Because I ended up having to sue Chase, and Chase never really turned over anything. They just kind of neglected the whole situation, and so it was a default judgment. They didn't show up to court or whatever, and they kind of didn't even pay attention. But bro, I had to drive there so many times. I had to have all these lengthy conversations. I had to pay $254 in court costs. My freaking bank account got shut down because that was my personal account, and so it went negative when they took the $600 out. Yeah. I had a lot of stuff on auto pay bills and stuff like that. That all freaking went to crap. I had to redo it, connect it to new cards and stuff like that. Fell behind on payments, got late fees. You know what I'm saying? So my point is that what you're saying in that scenario, bro, and that people don't understand. I'm sending a small scale example. Mine was $600. It was 20K. But I'm saying to actually make it right, bro, it's not just, oh, let me just call this person and just say, hey, there was an issue here. Can you just please fix it? Oh, yes, sir. Yeah, right away. Like, it don't work like that.
Even when I had that person to call to fix that issue, they told me the same shit. Well, it says that you were selling a product that was deemed as dangerous. How's a t-shirt dangerous? What's a t-shirt going to do? It's going to punch someone in the face when it comes out the mail.
Yeah.
The fuck? I'm not selling. They were making it seem like I sold artillery, bro. No, straight up. They said dangerous goods, weapons, or lethal, like items that can cause lethal harm.
Yeah.
What is so lethal about a piece of clothing?
That's anthrax in the paint.
That's crazy. That's insane.
Yeah.
So like after a year and a half, I find out that I had to sue them.
Yeah.
And then even then, an attorney looking over it, well, the agreement form says that they have every right to do it. You can't sue them because you agreed to this. Even if you do counter sue them for damages, like you're going to have to break even after by just, settling the case by shipping everything out and then just filing a claim through them. Fingers crossed that they give you your money back.
Wow.
So by the time I had fixed everything and got everything made, chargebacks started rolling in. So all that debt that I fixed up with that 500, boom, started stumbling down again after I made 10,000 units.
Yeah.
Now I went from
because you're trying to honor all the orders outside of Shopify and reship them out, but then the people started charging back because they were disgruntled customers.
Look, I got put negative 17K in debt, right? Came up, like I got the account back up to like at least minimum 7K, but busting my ass, staying up every single fucking night, doing commissions back to back, minimal sleep, printing teas, outsourced, like doing outsourced jobs, like off the side jobs, like side gigs here and there, hosting pop-ups. By the time I was already about to, get the representative, like the Shopify agent, to unlock my order logs, chargebacks started rolling in again. And then that 8K went down to 2K. I was like, holy shit. After adjustment fees, it was like 3K in chargebacks, but after adjustment fees, it went down till I got 6K taken away from me after working my ass off. So it felt like that second stumble, I was like, fuck this shit, bro. I'm going to go work at Walmart.
Yeah, I'm going to go work at Walmart.
Straight up. Nah, for real. And then that's when Fat Nick and Puya, they reached out to me like, yo, are you good? Like, we see everything that's happening to you. I was like, no, dude. Like, I was just completely honest. I was like, no. Like, I need work. Like, anyone that you know that needs work, please send them my way. I give them the best deal ever. I just want to give these people their clothes and get this over with.
Yeah.
Because it's fucking, like, my reputation. All because of something that my supporters wanted in the first place.
So where we looking now? What's next for Mike Mali?
Well, now, thankfully, my friends, Fat Nick and Puya, ended up making a couple calls. They got me, they took care of me. They gave me projects. Their friends gave me projects. Made a couple more friends on the way. Getter, a.k.a. Tara Reed. He's, like, very notable. He hit me up for designs. I made designs for him. Kill Switch. Ended up getting booked for Grade A Tour shortly after that incident. So this is fast forward to current time. Grade A Tour. Obviously, that was very helpful in recovery, and a bunch of other people, like one of Kanye's producers for Vultures, JPEG Mafia, was just spotted in Psych Ward the other day. Just found out today that Bon Jovi's son was spotted in Psych Ward. That our order just got shipped out to him, and he posted.
So one of Kanye's producers is wearing Psych Ward merch.
Yeah, and it's posted on my page. Like,
and Bon Jovi's son is wearing Psych Ward merch.
Yeah. So now for the rollout, the revival rollout, now that I have all the possible chargebacks that could have happened, I recovered from all of that again after another year of, trials and tribulations. Now that I'm back on my feet, everything's getting shipped out this month and this upcoming month. And our revival drop is going to be a shoe that's fully pre-made. There's no way that we can get chargebacks on it. Everything that we drop from here out is going to be pre-made in limited runs. So we already have the automatic print press set up, partnered with Ray, the guy we were talking about. Shout out Ray.
Shout out to Ray.
Ray ended up finding me, I came to him in that troubled time, and I told him, yo.
Does Ray have his website up already?
I don't think so yet. I think he's finalizing it, though. He will, though, soon, though. Print Locker. Let's just look up printlocker.com.
Is it the?
The Print Locker?
The printlocker.com.
Yeah, we'll end up linking it.
Yeah.
You'll end up linking it for sure.
Yeah.
But I reached out to him as soon as I barely started the brink of recovery, and I showed him, yo, this is what we made in 1 month of annual sales. Like within the full range of annual sales, this is what 1 month produced, the best month. And just off seeing that, he was like, I'm in. How much do you need to recover? And I told him $2,000 to ship the remaining items. It's like, done deal. I would rather, to avoid that situation at that time, even today, I'd rather have two heads to constantly solve problems to avoid that from ever happening again rather than myself again.
Yeah.
Because I felt so alone for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then I found Ray, and that's how I found you.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Which is crazy, bro.
So fast forward, we already have the revival drop set up to drop our first shoe. It's a bootleg of the Nike Decade. But because Nike never patented it, we already got attorneys to hop on the patenting of the silhouette that they discontinued, that they never claimed. So we're protected completely, full circle. If Nike ever sues us for replicating the Nike Decade, it's no longer the Nike Decade. It's the Cycward Decade. They can't sue us for our own silhouette that we got trademarked.
Wow. Can't. Wow, man. I'm interested. We're gonna have to. When's it coming out?
These are gonna be releasing more than likely July, by the time the whole bulk run of 300 pairs comes out, and lands, because they're all pre-made.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of work with Bravest, at Bravest on Instagram and Twitter.
Do you have you know how when people are doing pre-launch, just a website and you go to and it'll just say coming soon, but you could put your email to get a notification when it drops?
Yeah,
and stuff?
Newsletter.
You have something like that?
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's www.cycwardusa. We are getting our original domain back that Shopify took from us.
Yeah.
So that's what we already got, the order logs unlocked. Now it's just to get my domain unlocked, and boom, that's only going to take within the month. But by the time the release happens, it'll be www.cycwardusa.com.
Yeah.
But ended up getting picked up by Bravest as well. More all but 6 jobs, and it's looking really good. I don't want to count eggs before they hatch, but the year of 2024, we may be starting mid-year.
Hey, this is our year, bro.
Yeah, this is our year, bro.
Man.
Real shit.
And so in all of this stuff, let me just ask this question so people can understand, bro, that you're a young man, 23, from Edinburgh.
Mm-hmm.
Went to school here in the Valley. All together, and all of the designs and that you sold that for, and designs you made for other people, about what's the dollar value retail gross?
For all the designs that I've made?
Yeah, that both you've made and that people have made off of your work and your designs.
So Cycward alone has cleared within the past 3.5 years. Cycward, even with that $19K rug pull from Shopify that they did to me, Cycward's cleared over $500,000 worth of sales. It's already done $675K worth of sales. That's with the $19K deducted.
Because you had already done other shirts before it got to that one.
Yeah. On top of that, one design alone that I made for Solico generated them $250K in a month. I know that was their best seller, so I'm sure that they've already cleared over $750,000 off that one graphic. Bravest, I can't say too many numbers on what each set product made, but long story short, a capsule that I contributed to ended up clearing $15 million total from Bravest. That's because I sold that graphic to them for very low, but because I'm not about the money.
Yeah.
I get paid as long as I have food in my stomach and I'm able to do the same thing the next day. I don't get greedy with it. It's just art at the end of the day that I love.
Yeah.
And nobody can take that away from me. Even if I sell a piece for $1 and it makes someone $1 million, I'm still going to make another piece the next day because I love it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to dwell on, how that should be me.
Yeah.
Because blessings like Bravest, where I end up starting off as a freelance commission designer, end up with a potential, position on the team, it's a blessing.
Yeah.
And I have the opportunity to work with Hellstar, make designs for them. Very notable brand within the streetwear scene as of right now.
Yeah.
I'm blessed that Juice and Shawnee and Caleb on Athletic, that they took the time of day to appreciate what I had made. Same thing with Nelson, to be able to work alongside him.
Yeah, we got to have him on here next.
Yeah, definitely.
Nelson Hot Hands Hampton.
Nelson, definitely.
You want to talk about his brand? Go ahead and shout him out. The brand that he's coming out, if you want, or if it's still under wraps.
It's still under wraps.
Too soon.
It's still under wraps. We can't disclose too much because it's still unreleased. But long story short, to put in perspective.
But he's on Instagram, right?
Yeah, to put in
If
perspective.
anybody's into boxing, follow Nelson Hot Hands Hampton
Yeah.
on Instagram.
To put in perspective, though, like what I've already made for him that's what got the attention from Hellstar, the Hellstar and Bravest team alone.
Yeah.
The stuff that I made him, that's how they scouted me, was through my
Wow, because you put
him.
the designs on your, and they saw that.
Yeah. So a lot of full circle moments, a lot of blessings that have, come through, and I'm just, at the end of the day, I'm making everything right, regardless whether this year works in my favor or not. It was a fun run. But I don't see myself ending up. I don't see it ending anytime soon, bro. With what's happened just within this past week alone.
Yeah, no, man, me neither. And I'm glad I met you, bro, because you bring a fresh dose of young passion and energy to probably everyone that you come in contact with, right? But particularly us and what we got going on with Ray, because I knew Ray before you, and me and Ray were doing something with T-shirts, and something that I lack, bro. It's just not me, bro. Is that I don't have that gift of creativity.
Yeah,
I have other gifts.
Yeah, you do.
You know what I mean? Or I am creative.
Everyone got that gift. It's how long you
maybe
spend.
not artistically.
Think about it, though. You do have it. But at the end of the day, one person's going to sleep. One person's staying up an extra hour sharpening that blade.
Yeah.
While the other one's sleeping with a dull blade next to them.
Yeah.
You do have that creativity in you. It's just a choice, though, to perfect it and sharpen that blade.
Yeah.
That's on you.
Yeah.
That's where you get to actually figure out where your creativity can be put to use, where it's best put to use and most productive. That's when you start snowballing that productive form of creative expression. And that's where you generate your own creative venue.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it all comes down to that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I guess I don't choose to put my creativity towards graphic design particularly.
Everyone's a creative.
Yeah.
The outfit you put together today, guarantee you, there might be similar outfits, but there's not that same one right now. Nobody has that same, the same shoes you're wearing right now.
Yeah.
With this entire fit. Maybe similar, but not the exact one. Because you like that one Lucky T brand.
Yeah.
You get me?
Yeah.
Everyone is creative in their own form.
Yeah, which I made this.
Even if it's in the minimal form. You decided to wear a silver chain with that. Someone could decide to wear a gold chain, but that's their creative form of expression and identity. Mm-hmm. Even down to the socks you wear. Like, you're your own person. Everyone's a creative. Everyone's an innovator. Everyone has new ideas. You had the idea to make a podcast. You're an innovator within the podcast room.
Yeah.
Who's to say 10, 15 years now, like from now, you're the next Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
Think about it.
I hope so.
Joe Rogan started somewhere.
I hope so. My dream, bro, I'd like to be on a podcast with Joe Rogan.
Yeah, it's possible. Look at what happened to me.
I want to be, one of my dream, bro, is I want to be on a podcast also. I want to be able to interview Jordan Peterson, this guy right here.
Yeah.
This guy was like, Jordan Peterson book. But his stuff, bro, helped me so much. I mean, everybody says it's a cliche. Everybody says that he's like a father figure to them, bro. Yeah. And he was to me too, man. He came around and, my dad was a druggie and stuff, bro, and almost no guidance whatsoever, you know what I mean? So he helped me in a lot of ways, understand a lot of things about myself, about the world, about stuff. But yeah, man, I mean, hopefully I get there, bro. And I, like what you say that your experience...
Bro. Hopefully you will get there, bro.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of how you use your time sharpening this knife.
And you're proof and kind of like inspiration because, like you said, you were listening to Puya back when you were 12.
Yeah.
Or did you say 12 years ago?
Yeah, no, I was 12 years old.
12. And now you're designing art for him.
Yeah.
You know?
And I was making art when I was listening to them when nobody related to me. Now this motherfucker relates to me. The one guy that I related to relates to me.
Yeah.
Like, now Nick and Puya both relate to me. Now I'm like in the same... It's crazy, bro. Like, think about it. I'm listening to like G59, like record tapes. I'm listening to Ramirez, Shake Well, all these rappers. And to then get flown out to Miami. I fall asleep on someone's couch and get woken up to one of like my biggest idols within G59 alone. To Shakewell waking me up, telling me, yo, do you want eggs? You want eggs in the morning? Like, waking me up to breakfast. Like, oh, by
Yeah.
the way, I'm Shakewell. I know who you are, bro. Like, yeah, that's the craziest thing to wake up to.
Yeah.
But because of that consistency, it ends up leading to situations like that where you meet your idols in a position you don't even expect it.
Bro, that's amazing, bro.
My idol saw me cuddling, straight up. My idol saw me cuddling. One of my idols saw me cuddling my other idol's dog because on his couch when I fell asleep watching a movie with it at his crib. I was cuddling Fat Nick's like puppy because it just like randomly sat next to me.
Yeah.
Fell asleep on the couch, woke up to Shakewell shaking my leg. Like, yo, do you want breakfast? We made breakfast if you're hungry.
Yeah.
And like it was nothing. And all they referred to me as was the kid from Texas.
Yeah.
That alone is crazy, bro.
And on that note, man, that's kind of like the overarching spirit behind what you're doing is that you kind of want to, I mean, you mentioned to me briefly last time, you kind of want to encourage everybody that feels like the down and outer, the outcast amongst the outcasts,
Hell
man,
yeah,
to
bro.
find,
To be themselves.
to be yourself, find what you love, and
Fucking run it.
run it.
Don't even think about it, bro. Because like once you start second guessing your dreams, it's not even a dream, it's a doubt.
Yeah.
Why the fuck are you gonna doubt your life?
Bro, that's another quote, bro. You
Like,
just come out with
bro.
these fire quotes.
Like, what's a dream if you second guess it so many times to the point where it's a doubt? Real shit. What is
Don't
it then?
even second guess your dream because when you do, it's no longer a dream; it's a doubt.
Yeah.
Dang, bro.
What is it then? It's just
That's
another.
fire.
It's another crumbled up paper in the trash bin.
Yeah.
And then what? What's the next move after you built so much time developing a passion for something, and you let that'll never work out
Yeah.
from outsiders get to you, where you just decide to say, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
Let me figure out what I'm going to do for the next 20, 30 years to
Yeah.
buy time.
Yeah. Go work at Walmart, like
By the
you
time
saying.
you buy that time, bro,
Yeah.
it's too late to even pursue it.
Yep.
What then?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yep.
So,
I mean, the way I feel is like, even if I fail at every single one of these things that I do in terms of financials, like, oh man, I was never able to like kind
you
of
at least
like.
get to say you did it.
But I'm at, like, even on my deathbed, looking back, I'm like, man, bro, but like I loved every moment of it.
yeah,
You know what I
bro.
mean? Like, is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, no, it makes sense,
Yeah.
bro. Because even like when screen printing wasn't working for me at first out my garage, I loved every moment of it because now I'm in a position where I see it work.
Yeah.
After 7 years, bro, like from starting my garage to now being in the same facility as Ray with
Yeah.
and Vic, with a bunch of notable minds within the industry of how to run production properly. All those trials and tribulations, bro, like now I can see it in full effect.
Yeah.
Where this is an entity of ours. Like we contribute to this. It's tied to us. It's
Yeah.
no longer something outsourced where we're relying on someone else to do it.
Yeah.
Where people are relying on us to do it. Like our ideas. People are we're like to the point that we know that our ideas are keeping other people's lights on. That alone is inspirational.
Yeah. So we got 8% left.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Let's go ahead and wrap it up. Do you still sell graphics to the public?
Yeah, I do. So I do have commissions on Molly Incorporated. It's in my bio on Instagram. At Mike Molly. Just click at Mike Molly instead of a O, it's a 0. I have all my links. Molly Incorporated is my design portfolio. That's where I sell graphics and book freelance commission reservations based on schedule. And that's where people can, for instead of what I'm charging the record labels, Molly Incorporated helps small brands. We make them a graphic. Plus, teamed up with Ray, we provide them a sample of their idea free of charge.
Yeah.
Like rolled in. If they get a graphic made through Molly Incorporated, they get a sample sent to them. And if they approve of it, then they can run full production through Molly Incorporated, which is the design agency that we're partnering with Ray in.
Okay.
So
there you
that's
have it,
where all the
guys.
screen printing happens. We bring the ideas to life, ship it back to them at the cheapest wholesale rate, competitive market compared to the LA fashion district and production. We beat their rates. We have the same size screens as them. There's no excuse
Yeah.
for these people in LA to be biting,
Yeah.
biting the hand that feeds them. I've always been against them overpricing their production rates.
Yeah.
Because they're startup brand owners with a set budget, like myself.
Yeah.
At one point, when I was in high school,
Yeah.
where I had a set budget. So that's who we contribute to.
Amen. So yeah, if you guys have inquiries or want to like some graphics or like to start some merch or brand or whatever, and you want to work with Mike Molly, or request him to do some work for you, have some go ahead and hit up the links. We'll drop them in the description on these platforms that we're gonna drop this on. But yeah, bro, thank you for your time, man.
Hell yeah. No, we need a round two, because
Yeah,
I feel
bro.
like we be bouncing, just like, even if we talk like about life, screw the career, bro, just life in general.
Yeah, man.
I love talking, bro.
Yeah,
a lot
bro.
of people think I'm like egotistical for some reason, but I love talking to people.
Well, for sure. I mean, we're kind of working together now in a roundabout way, man. We're doing
100%.
merch together. I'm still, working on some merch, man. We got stuff in the pipeline. Don't want to just release everything now, man. But yeah, man, we'll fill you guys in. More to come. And yeah, bro. With that said, we'll see y'all later.
Dude, thank you for having me.
My pleasure, bro.